gentlemen, and welcome to the Xtreme 2 Racing League. Join us here for the second race this evening here in France after what was an absolutely epic race in Canada, thanks to the wet conditions. Joining me again this evening, we have Mr. Jar Bellew. Good evening, Jar.
Yeah, it's good to be back here in the commentary box. Great race last week. Hopefully we can match the same standards in France. Paul Ricard today. So we do have a full grid today, which does make this race a bit more interesting. We've also got a few more drivers after our testing yesterday at 6 p.m. UK, and can they compete against the top teams? We shall see.
Indeed, yes. Just to go through some of those changes very, very quickly. At Mercedes this evening, we've got, instead of Jarvis and Willem that we had last week, we've got Jeremy and Scott racing for them this evening. We don't have Barry in the Red Bull. Instead, we have Lee racing for them. And at Racing Point, we have no Nick this evening. And instead, we've got Michael to look out for. So they're the drivers, the four changes we have on the grid.
Yeah, it will.
So yes, it will be. Definitely will be, yes, because of course some of these drivers like Lee do race in the other leagues as well. But some of these, it will be their first time out on track, and I don't know about you, but it was quite a nerve-wracking experience for the first time that I did a race online. So let's see how these drivers get on here this evening.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with the new Mercedes lineup, Jarvis and Willem have now got seats in X1 due to their great performances before the league even started, and when Willem took the slam dunk, winning both X1 and X2 races. Willem has now got a full seat in Red Bull, and Jarvis seems to be going quite close to a seat somewhere else on the grid.
Yes, it will be interesting, very interesting to watch that, because of course some of these drivers will be pushing for an X1 seat as soon as possible, really. So a good showing here. Could be the admin of the X1 could be watching, and good showing. Could see them at the very least go to a reserve seat in X1 and maybe even get a full-time seat. They're all starting to ready up now. So we're going to go into qualifying. 3 parts of qualifying as per normal. First session will be 18 minutes long. We lose the bottom 5. And then they go into Q2.
As always, Fori did do a competitive race last week, as the same for Huber. MB Soccer, Bryce Faulkner, will be very, very interesting because he did get a podium last race in tricky conditions, and also during the connection problems that we had during the race. Yes,
he did do a very good race indeed in that Toro Rosso. We desperate to emulate that if he can. Completely different racetrack here, of course, for France. Canada, you got the walls very, very close, and with the wet conditions as well, it was extremely easy to make a mistake and end up in the wall. We had a few drivers hit the wall of champions in Canada. Completely different racetrack here, very, very open, lots of runoff areas. We've had 2 races here, the Talk of the Devil League and the X1 League this evening. Talk of the Devil was last night, and lots of action going on, lots of overtakes, few accidents as well. So despite the fact the walls aren't there, it's still very easy to make a mistake and end up costing yourself a lot of time.
Yeah, definitely.
And of course, both races here this weekend have been affected as well. So will it be the 3rd race in a row with rain, or will we get a completely dry race?
Yeah, of course, in TOTD League, we did have a wet qualifying session and fortunately a dry race. In the X1 League, during to the end of the race, we did have a little bit of rain. So it'll be interesting to see if there is rain for today's session.
Yes, as soon as I can, I'm going to try and get a weather forecast up and about. But I have asked the drivers to let me know. So, here we go. 18 minutes of the session have started. Who
Yep.
is going to be the first car to venture out onto the racetrack? Someone's. Yes, I think Ben has a qualifying ban, if I remember correctly.
Yes, he does.
Have a qualifying. Yes, so he will be starting from the back. As the other Ferrari of Hubert is going out on track. There's a McLaren, I think, and a Williams heading out on track. So, and the forecast, apparently, I've been told, is dry for both. So,
Yeah.
a little bit disappointing. Alfa Romeo and a Haas. I've got it completely wrong as to which cars are heading out on track. Alpha of Pete heading out, and the Haas of Ricard, who also actually drove very well in Canada. Got caught out in the rain a couple of times, but he did overall have quite a good race, did Ricard. He was running well at the start, made a couple of mistakes, fell back, but came through the field very well.
Yeah, definitely. Also Pete Poloni, M7 Maverick, did the race last week, second place, if I can remember. Hopefully he can replicate that today, especially with a dry race all throughout this session.
Yes, hopefully, yes. Yeah, really outperformed the car there.
Yep, as the X1 racer Lee Edwards pulls out for his first outlap of the session, following by the other Red Bull of Rian Fori.
Yes, so could there be a little bit of slipstreaming going on there? Help each other out. Be quite good for the Red Bulls. That Honda engine not quite as powerful as the others, or certainly not as Ferraris and the Mercedes. That could really, really help them.
Yeah, as Lee Edwards does let Rian Fori let go, especially when he is just a reserve for the team and just focusing on getting some points on the board for today.
Yes, I'll be interested to watch Lee. He's whenever I've seen him race before, he's always been in the sort of midfield or lower order cars. He's in a Red Bull here this evening, so that is going to be great for him to watch. And there's a racing point come out the pits right in front of Hubert, but just about saw him in the last second. He's one of the problems here, of course. The pit exit feeds straight onto the racing line. It's quite unusual actually, because normally the pit exits do tend to go onto the outside or the inside of the track, but this one here feeds straight onto the racing line, so you do have to be careful with that. I think one of us, Hubert, runs very, very wide there, as the corner before the flat out corner onto the back straight. So
yeah,
let's
definitely
see what kind of lap times they can be producing. What kind of lap times do you reckon could potentially see people safe here?
Lap time safe around here, probably 133s or 132s. Depends on how fast these drivers really are. Of course, in X1, Rian Fori, JB Fresh Penguin, Thomas Edwards have raced, and Lee Edwards have raced in the X1 race just a few hours ago. So they've already got a bit of practice in for the X2 race.
Yes, indeed. You never know; they might be able to just tweak their setups a little bit as well, make them good. As we've got a yellow flag in sector 3. I think that might be the Toro Rosso going slowly there, as Ricard goes fastest immediately there on a 1:31.5. Here comes Hubert. He goes second on a 31. Hey, that's a stunning lap time as well. Mid-31s already. Fraser McKenzie's gone fourth for Williams.
Yep. As Thomas Edwards goes wide on the run down to the fast finish line, and he crosses the line to be 1:33.8.
And Jeremy there, he's going out on a set of hard tyres in that Mercedes. So that's an interesting move. Set of hards for the first part of qualifying. He's either just testing something out here, or he's very confident he's going to comfortably get through. Looking at Joe now in the McLaren, a little bit confusing. His gamer tag is Joe, his actual name is Malbert. But we'll go with Joe for now, as he starts his flying lap. As David Edge has gone 6 on the 34.0, slowest so far.
Yep, as Kieran Knight goes through the last corner, makes a run down to the start-finish line, and he crosses the line to be a 134.4. Slowest lap so far, as Lee Edwards goes for 135.3. And Rian Fori, I think he's just got 132.6. Great lap for him.
Yes.
But the amazing thing is that Ricard has got the fastest lap so far in Q1. So this will be interesting for the race, especially when Hubert and Rian Fori were definitely fighting out in last race in Canada.
Yes, that'd be a great thing to watch, wouldn't it? Rian Fori had a great race in Canada. As that's Joe running right off the track there, down the back straight, down the second part of the straight. He was right off the track. So not quite sure why he did that, but anyway, he's still running. So we got 12 cars so far set a lap time. The second Williams of John there has gone into 11th place on a 35.1. So it does look like at the moment the bottom four who have set lap times, that's Deja, Kieran, John and Lee, look like they could be battling it out to survive, as Joe comes across the line and goes fourth on a 132.7.
Yeah, that's
a great lap time there in that McLaren.
Yeah,
very
definitely.
good lap time indeed.
As Mr. Shmee, Johnny Davis has got across the line to be 7th, 133.5.
Good lap as well there, as
now
looking at Bryce.
Yep, as
the lap time I'm very interested to watch here is Jeremy in the Mercedes on those hard tyres. What can he produce with that? There's a yellow flag in sector 1. Not quite sure what's happened there.
Johnny Davis just letting some cars through. That's what's causing the yellow flags. Just letting the Alfa Romeo go over Super Shippy. He set a good lap time, Johnny Davis. 7th place so far in Q1. 10 minutes left to go in Q1 session. That's
a good lap time there by Bryce. He goes 3rd on a 32.6.
Yeah, I just saw that germ made a little bit of oversteer coming out of the chicane in sector 2. So I don't think the hard tyres are working well for him so far in this session.
It was a brave decision, wasn't it, to go for those hards?
Yeah,
and there's another yellow flag in sector 2 and 3. I think it might just be someone getting out of the way. So here is Jeremy on those hard tyres in that Mercedes. Let's see. Ooh, struggling for grip a little bit there into the second to last corner.
Yeah, what you expect from hard tyres.
Yeah, they will take a few laps to warm up. Definitely, so we might be doing a few laps here, but let's have a look. He goes 15th on a 35.2. So he'll definitely have to come back in and
yeah, as the
set of at least mediums on that, you would think, to get through.
Yeah, Lee has gone for the start finish line, and he does I think his lap was invalidated. He did make a temp up, but that wasn't. I don't think that was enough to be that Jones time. Interestingly, well, the X2 race of Lee has still not beaten any of the X2 races.
And also one thing I have just realised as well is the other Toro Rosso that's normally driven by Cameron is actually being driven by Nick from Racing Point. So there has been a bit of a swap around in the driver there. I wasn't aware of that. But Nick...
Yeah, Cameron Balsa has left the league, as well as Toxic Blaze. I forgot what his name was, but yeah, they did leave the league. Cameron Balsa did leave the league, so Nick Wine has taken his place in Toro Rosso as a full-time driver now.
Excellent. So this is Andy in the Alfa Romeo. He is yet to set a lap time, but he is on his flying lap now.
Yeah, interesting.
The race earlier on at Singapore, it was fantastic to see an Alfa Romeo leading the race. It really was.
Yeah, interesting strategy from the Alfa Romeo guys in Singapore in real life. Good strategy from the Ferrari, and bad luck from the Mercedes strategy. The Mercedes were expecting to have some traffic for Sebastian Vettel and Charles Leclerc. As Super Shippy now goes on the start finish line, and he crosses the line to be a 138.0. he definitely has.
Yes,
He's
and
definitely got some
Neil's
more.
pitted. Neil has pitted in the Racing Point. He hasn't no, he hasn't gone out, sorry. So Neil
yeah.
yet to go out in the Racing Point, as
that's interesting.
the other Alpha is also now back out as well. But a few cars going back out on the racetrack.
Yep, as Bryce Faulkner goes down to the start-finish line to try to improve his lap time, and he crosses the line to be a 1 minute 32.0. Does not be any, doesn't climb up any positions, but 5/10 up from his lap time. Very, very good from him. Definitely one of the front
Especially
runners.
on, that was his fourth lap on those set of soft tyres as well. So clearly got some good tyre wear going on there as well to be able to pull that out after 4 laps.
Yeah, amazing.
Another yellow flag in sector 2. I think cars are trying to get out of the way of each other as the Alfa Romeo of Pete starts his lap nearly 210 miles an hour down that pit straight before he brakes for turn 1. Takes a lot of curb, but absolutely perfect on the exit. Down towards turn 3. Very tricky corners here. 3 and then 4. Then you got this double apex 5 and 6, which is so crucial to get right. So if you get it wrong, you'll completely ruin your acceleration for the first half of this straight that's punctuated by the chicane.
Yep,
So
as
at the moment in the bottom 5, of course, we've got the Ferrari of Ben, who has got qualifying ban. We've got Neil in the Racing Point. He has yet to leave the pits. Then we've got Nick in the Toro Rosso, Lee in the Red Bull, and then John in the Williams. They're the bottom 5 at the moment. There's a bit of a gap as well between Kieran Knight in 15th in the Renault and John in the Williams. Is about 7/10 of a second separate, 6.5 tenths separating.
Yeah, well, we're just saying
has
that John has just gone through the first and second corners for his flying lap on soft tyres in the Williams. As
let's see if he
Lee
can
Edwards,
improve. The Alfa Romeo of Pete is coming across the line now. He is currently in 6th. Does he improve? He does indeed. Moves up to 4th on a 132.4. That's a good lap there in that Alfa Romeo. That should comfortably see him through to the second part of qualifying. 2 cars very close on track there. That was a Williams and a Haas. It was Mr. Schmee, and I think that was John, yes, on his flyer. So don't think he lost
as
any time
BFC
there.
Savage across the time, and he goes 8th fastest with a 133.3. Gains on 1 position. Good on improving his lap time. He is now going to go back to the pits as well. Bryce Faulkner is still going. Oh, yeah, Bryce Faulkner has gone back to the pits now, finally, after his stint on the soft tyres. A lot of guys try to complete their laps as David Edgar goes through the final corner, through the final straight, and he goes 9th fastest. Good lap from him, 133.4.
Yes, and now we've got John in the Williams coming out the final corner. Bit of oversteer on the exit. He should get away with it. Does he improve? No, he doesn't. He stays 16th.
Yeah, Joy Davis
So
also
no
crossed the line to start his flying lap as well.
Yes, now we've got Lee on his flying lap in the Red Bull. Currently in 17th. He's a 10th and a half off of John in the Williams. But then he's got about 8/10 of a second to make up to move up a place. Just over 8/10 to move out of the bottom 5.
Yeah,
So
I
let's
just
have a
saw
look what
him improve in sector 2, 6/10 up on his last lap time, so he could definitely improve in his time round here in Paul Ricard.
Yes, and Jeremy, meanwhile, in the Mercedes, now gone out on a set of medium tyres, so he definitely is going against the grain here. Hard for his first run, now he's gone out on a set of mediums, while every other driver has been out on the soft tyres. Here comes Lee across the line. Can he improve? He does. Lee goes 14th. Wow, found over a second there. Good lap there from Lee. He moves up into 14th position. He really has improved as a driver over the last season and a half, and that is a good lap from him. Will it be enough to see him through? Well, time will tell, but he's got to be happy with that lap time.
Yeah, definitely. As he got still interestingly, the racing point of Neil hasn't gone out of his pits yet, with only about 2 minutes of the session to go. Wonder what his plan is for going to do. As John is about to cross the line, and he goes, and he's missed out on the lap time. He hasn't improved his lap time. Over 1.2 seconds from his last lap time.
Yeah, the other interesting strategy here is Kieran in the Renault. He's currently in the bottom 5, but he's gone out on the same set of soft tyres. So these tyres have now done 4 laps, and he's trying to improve his lap time on them. That's a tall order. Under pressure, of course, a minute and a half of the session to go. He's in 16th position. Needs to find about 3.5 tenths to move out of the bottom 5. But he's on the same set of soft tyres, and he's half a second down as well. So, yeah, I don't think that's going to happen for Kieran. He could be a victim here in this first part of the session.
Yeah, definitely.
As Nick in the Toro Rosso is on his flying lap as well. He's currently down in 18th, the last of the drivers. And you've got to say, Neil, in the racing point, he's not going to get a lap time in now. Only a minute to go, and he's still in the pits.
Yeah, he might be a bit...
I'm not sure if he had a qualifying ban as well, possibly, but he's not going to be taking part. So we've already got our bottom 2.
Yep, as Kieran crosses the line, and he does not improve on his lap time. 5 tenths to 6 tenths off from his lap time. So it looks like he's going to be eliminated from Q1.
Yeah, one more lap. He'll be able to get in here. 30 seconds to go. As Nick in the Toro Rosso coming through the last couple of corners. Can he improve? Oh, he's gone very wide in the last corner. He will just get one more lap in if he's got the fuel to do it, as Nick crosses the line, and he doesn't improve.
I think he might have
been
a slow lap. Yeah, definitely just a slow lap, as John is not going to improve his lap time. He is peeled into the pits as well. Super Shippy has not going to get a lap time in as well. Okay. Sebastian.
Not quite sure why cars are out. Why cars are out on doing their outlaps, to be perfectly honest, because especially the likes of Hubert, for example, he's up in second place as it is. He doesn't need to go out. He's gone out on a brand new set of soft tyres.
Yeah,
and
he really should be saving
he was safely through.
Yeah, you should be saving them for Q3, especially with 12 minutes of the session in Q3. You can get 3 full-on flying laps during the session in Q3 if you time it right. So I don't know why he's gone out for maybe another set of soft tyres. That's interesting.
Yes, and Nick is on a much improved lap here. As Hubert does go fastest on a 1:31.3. Nick is on a much improved lap here. It's Andy at the moment, who's also out on track doing a lap.
As
so
that
Yep.
As that jump crosses the line to go 8 fastest. Not bad from him.
That's a good lap on those medium tyres. But
Thomas Edwards also crossed the line as well.
Nick comes across the line. Does Nick improve? No, Nick doesn't improve. Well, he was a long way up, nearly a second up at one point on his lap time, and he does not improve. So Andy in the Alfa Romeo, he is safe. No one can beat him, but he is doing a lap here for pride, it would seem. He's in the final sector. What can he do? He's currently 15th on the 34.1. He's only going to find about half a tenth to overtake Lee. His teammate, of course, is up in 5th. 1.7 seconds faster than him, so he'll definitely want to be closing that gap down. So Andy comes across the line.
7th.
And he goes 7th, 32.8. Much better lap from him. He'll be happy with that.
Ooh! As John Davis does the bit of oversteer through the final 2 corners. And of course he pushes into the pits.
Decided to abandon his lap.
I mean, of course he's through anyway, so it's good. So it's fine for him.
Yes, he's 12th.
Yep, he's 12th.
So the 5 cars out there at the end of Q1 is the Ferrari of Ben, who had a qualifying ban. Neil in the Racing Point didn't go out. Not quite sure what happened there, but he didn't go out at all. Nick in the Toro Rosso, John in the Williams, and Kieran Knight in the Renault. Lee will be delighted. He is through to the second part of qualifying.
Yeah.
In 15th position in that Red Bull. Jeremy as well done very well. 9th place with the medium tyres. So I mean, up in 9th on the mediums, it'll be great to see what he can do on the on a set of softs later on in the session.
Yeah, definitely. As we get nearly started for Q2. It will be interesting to see who will be able to qualify for the top 10, especially with strategies going on. People might try to qualify in Q3 on the medium tyre. That will work out for strategies. Also, for like P11 down to P11 is the best spot for strategies if you don't qualify for Q3 at all. So this will be interesting to see the sort of strategies that people would be qualifying on Q3 on.
Yes, indeed it will be. I mean, into Q2, 15-minute session here. We again lose the bottom 5, but whatever tyres top 10 do their lap time on here, those are the tyres that they will start the race on. So, as you said, will someone decide to go for it and go for the medium tyres? Rian Fori and Ricard in the Haas, they at the moment look like they're going straight onto a set of mediums. There is a car already left the pit. Just trying to see which one that is. That is Rian Fori in the Red Bull.
Yeah, this will be
interesting. And
interesting.
also, one of the Alphas has also gone. Maverick there has gone onto a set of mediums as well.
Yeah, well,
so, I mean, those 3 cars, they you would think they would be quick enough to get through, judging on their pace in Q1.
Yeah, definitely. As Thomas Edwards also goes out on the soft tyre this time as well. Many people trying to either qualify on the soft. Ricard has gone on the medium tyre in the Haas, as well as.
So's Jeremy in the Mercedes as well.
Yeah, so
and Andy in the Alfa Romeo. So both Alphas going for the medium tyres for this part of qualifying.
Yeah, so this should be interesting to see how.
And both Haas cars as well. The other Haas has gone on to mediums as well.
Yeah,
and the McLaren of Joe.
Yeah, this will be interesting as Lee Edwards surprisingly goes on the soft tyre to qualify in Q3. As most people are going out for their outlets.
I mean, he just made it through, didn't he? So I suppose if a few of the cars ahead of him have difficulties getting the medium tyres up to temperature, he could pounce on that.
Yeah, and interestingly, Hubert is gone out on the soft tyre instead of the medium tyre. He definitely had the pace to qualify to Q3 on the medium tyre. Maybe he's doing a different strategy compared to the others.
Yes, and of course we saw him use both 2 sets of soft tyres in the first session. So maybe he's gone for slightly softer tyre selection for the weekend. Who knows? Maybe he has got an extra set of softs, but yeah, that is a very interesting strategy there. Fraser McKenzie as well in the Williams. He's also gone onto a set of softs. They're the first 2, Rian Fori and Fraser McKenzie. They are the first 2 to go on to their flying lap. We're watching Rian Fori now. Let's see how he can get on. Very, very quick in Canada. Very quick in the first part of qualifying. So let's see if he can keep that pace up.
Yep, definitely.
Well over 200 miles now. Not quite so good in a straight line, that Red Bull. We saw the Haas earlier hitting about 210. Rian there struggling to hit 205. So there is a definite speed advantage here for the Ferrari powered cars over the Hondas of the Toro Rossos and the Red Bulls.
Yep, as Johnny Davis just let, I think that might be, Ricard free for his flying lap. As Hubert starts on his flying lap through the first and second corners. Very, very good round there. Of course, expecting on the soft tyre.
So Rian Fori now coming out the final corner. He's going to be our benchmark in this Q2. First person to set a lap. And Rian Fori goes fastest at 33.2. That is a little bit off what we saw. That's quite a lot off what we saw in the first part. It's about a second and a half. I suppose it is about right for those medium tyres. About a second and a half. Fraser McKenzie goes second at 34.0. As look at that, 33.0 there straight away from Ricard.
Yeah, great lap time from it. Oh, as Edgar does go 6 tenths faster than Ricard, 6 tenths, 132.4. Of course, that is on the soft tyre.
Yeah, this is what I was saying earlier on. Some of these cars have got out on those mediums are going to have to be a little bit careful. The likes of David Edger and a few others here could be quick enough on the soft tyres to just knock them out. So they will have to keep an eye on this.
Yeah, just saying before then.
Sorry, Alfa Romeo has been disqualified. That is Pete, has been disqualified from the session for going the wrong way on the track. So I think he must have made a mistake somewhere, tried to get back on and has gone the wrong way. So the Alfa Romeo that we were expecting to be fighting, certainly in the top 3 or 4, Pete Polini there in the Alfa Romeo is being disqualified from the session.
Yeah, that is not a great start to his race in the France this weekend. Of course, he does get a choice of strategy though, but of course he is going to take advantage of track position for this race.
And yes, he will indeed. Johnny here in the Haas, he's on the medium tyres. Interestingly there, Jeremy, 34.5 on those medium tyres in that Mercedes. Not particularly quick. Lee has gone 6th on a 34.0. So again, what we were saying, a few of those drivers there, just picking a few off that are on the medium tyres. And Jeremy could be one of those that's in danger. He may have to do a set of softs. As Johnny comes across the line to complete his lap on the mediums, he does a 34.5.
Yeah, just
again,
saying before.
Weaving down the pit straight.
Yeah, just saying before. That germ did have a lot of oversteer exiting out of the final corner, so that's what might have affected that time for his attempt to qualify into Q3.
So this is Joe in the McLaren. He is currently there. You're not set a lap time. He's on the set of medium tyres. Change of direction. Very, very good on those tyres, despite them not being the softest compound. Yep, very tricky last few corners here. Late apex is difficult to get the nose of the car in, but that McLaren looks pretty planted to the track right now as he comes through the last couple of corners.
Oh, and Sabazio has just crossed the line. He can do a 132.8.
Yes, and here comes Joe. He goes 6th on a 33.7.
Yeah,
he's gone 6th.
Yeah, he can be pretty happy with that time, as well as Sabazio, 3rd on the soft tyre, about 2 tenths faster than Ricard in the medium tyre, so not bad for him. As well as Thomas Edwards and Bryce Faulkner go out for their out laps.
Yeah, so current top 10, we've got Hubert fastest by over a second as well, from David Edger in 2nd place. Sabazio is 3rd for Mercedes, Ricard 4th for Haas, then we've got Michael 5th for Racing Point, Rian Fori is 6th, 7th is Joe, Fraser McKenzie is 8th, Lee is in 9th place for Red Bull, and at the moment in the last car making it through is Johnny in the 2nd Haas. Jeremy is 11th. Only those 11 so far have set a lap time. We're currently looking at the McLaren of Malbert, sorry, not Malbert, it's Thomas Edwards in that McLaren.
Yep,
as Hubert has another fastest lap. Wow, he's getting some time out of those tyres, isn't he? 3 laps old now, those soft tyres.
Yeah, I don't know what he's trying to do. If he does not improve his lap time, if he does go on a new set of soft tyre, he will have to start on those soft tyre compound, which are 3 laps old. Realistically, you can only go about 2 laps for about like 1 lap or 2 laps on the soft tyre in qualifying, since it does wear out the tyre a lot, especially when you go 100% commitment through the corners. So it will be interesting to see what Hubert's doing.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, he's going to start with quite a lot older tyres. If you look at David Edger, for example, behind him at the moment, just did one lap. Likewise, Sabazio in third place on those soft tyres. Just did one flying lap and they're through. So, yeah, he's going to be a bit of a disadvantage there. He's going to have to absolutely nail it off the line and get away if he gets into pole position, of course. Here is Thomas Edwards about to finish his first flying lap in Q2. Let's see if he can trouble the top 10. A little bit wide in the final corner. He'll get away with that, though. Got good traction as Thomas Edwards comes across the line. Oh, no, his lap was disallowed.
Yep, I was also
His lap was disallowed, so he...
Yep, his lap was was disallowed. Probably cut the corners. It's very, very easy to cut corners right here in France. As Bryce Faulkner goes on the start finish line, bit of oversteer through there. Might want to get away with it. But goes second fastest. Great lap time from him.
Stunning lap time there in that Toro Rosso. 1:32.0. No one can get anywhere near Hubert at the moment. But that's a great lap time there from Bryce. Only one person, for two people yet set a lap time. Thomas Edwards and Andy in the Alfa Romeo, who's now gone out on a set of softs. Of course, we saw him earlier on the mediums. He's given up on that idea. Gone out on a set of softs. 4 minutes to go. 4.5 minutes to go.
Yep, as Lee Edwards is
also out on a lap as well.
Yeah, definitely. He will have to try and make
very wide there though from Lee. Sorry. Very, very wide there from Lee as he tried to come out to the back straight. That will affect his straight line speed all the way down this first part of the straight.
Ooh, Jordan Davis has crashed. Jordan Davis has crashed on the straight. Luckily to not have the tire from the session there. It was a very, very heavy track crash from him.
Very easy done, of course, with a bit of wheel spin coming out of there. It's very, very easy to spin the car off. Let's see what Lee Edwards can do. He's currently sitting in 10th position, just under 4 minutes to go. He's the person in danger. He's only got to find half attempt to overtake Fraser McKenzie, who's just heading out on track. So let's see if Lee can improve his position. I'd love to see Lee in a top 10 shootout. I really would. It'd be such a good reward for him for all his hard work that he's been doing around every single racetrack, every single...
Yeah, as he crosses the line to go. Oh, he does miss out on his... yeah, he slows down slightly. I think he's going to go out for another lap as... yeah, definitely. And as Kenzie goes out for his first flying lap, for his second flying lap of the session, through the first corner and through the second corner. Kenzie really commentated for X1 and TOTD, Elite and Normal League. Goes out, oh, he missed the curve and goes wide through this first sector.
Oh, and Andy's just completely cut the chicane. Didn't even attempt to take the chicane. So I'm not quite sure what he was doing there because he was on his flying lap. So he hasn't set a lap time yet, Andy, in that Alpha. So it all got a bit wrong for Alfa Romeo. They were looking so strong in the first part of qualifying, looked very, very fast. They both went out on mediums. Yeah, Pete gets disqualified, and now Andy's struggling to set a lap time. So he will have one more attempt at this. Oh, and the other one's been disqualified. That's the McLaren of Thomas Edwards.
Yeah, what is happening with all these disqualifications today? And the McLaren of Thomas Edwards and the Alfa Romeo of Bologna have been disqualified as Marvin Rogers crosses the line for his flying lap of the session as well.
Yeah, so Lee Edwards will not improve. He is remaining 10th. He's in the pits. He's not going to have enough time to get out. Jeremy here in the Mercedes has gone out for the first time in the whole qualifying session so far. He's gone out on a set of soft tyres. Can he get himself into the top 10? He's got to find about 0.6 of a second. Well, at the moment, he's 1.2 seconds up. So no, as long as he just sort of keeps it calm here, he should knock Lee out of the top 10 and get himself in
just
there.
Saying that.
And Andy's done it again. Andy again has cut the chicane in the middle of the track. Not
What
quite
is
sure what
going
he's
on
doing.
with
That's twice he's just straight lined the chicane, not even attempted to take it. I mean, he might have a bit extra fuel on board, maybe, or maybe just trying to burn that off. But again, if he gets into the top 10, that will now be 3 lap old tyres. That he will.
Oh, that jump. Yeah, that jump's just gone third fastest.
So finally,
Wow,
we see
amazing
a representative lap time from him there. First one of the session. So Andy, can he set a lap time this time? We were riding on board with him. This is it now for him. 1 attempt only.
Oh, as Marvel Rogers goes 5th fastest, gets out of the battle for the P10 position.
Good lap from him.
For P3.
Good lap there in the McLaren. So we've got 5 different teams in the top 5. We've got Ferrari from Toro Rosso, from Mercedes, from Renault, from McLaren. The second Mercedes is in 6th place there of Sabazio. He's actually gone out again. He obviously feels a little bit under pressure as well. Hubert and Bryce have stayed in the pits. Ricard also is not going to improve his lap time. Can Andy, is he going to take the chicane this time? Yes, he does. I'm not quite sure what he was doing in the first 2 laps. Who else is out there? We've got Fraser McKenzie out there as well. He's just going to get 1 more lap in.
Yeah, he did improve his lap time. He got promoted to 8th place, but he does need to send another lap time to get out of the qualifying battle for 10th place. Especially with that little bubble, it's very, very dangerous. So of course he's going to set out for another flying lap.
But the surprise at the moment is the Haas of Johnny down there in 12th place. Can he improve and get himself out of danger here? As here comes Andy now, just finishing his lap. Yet to set a lap time. Not quite sure what he's been doing through this session, but he's fine. It looks like he's going to get a lap time on the board. And he goes 6th on a 32.7. So, well, we had to wait a while for it, but we finally get it.
Down. As he does push Kenzie down, but of course Kenzie is through the final few corners of the track. Second last corner, down to last corner. Again, good exit from here. Does cut the curve slightly a little bit, and he crosses the line. And will he improve his lap time?
He does.
Yes, he does. He goes 9th fastest. He goes 9th fastest.
And a big shock here is Rian Fori. As Johnny goes 8th, Rian Fori is out of qualifying. He's down to 12th.
What has happened to him? Rian Fori has just been out for the qualifying session.
Well,
it was supposed to be an easy pass for him.
Didn't he do his lap time on medium tyres, I think? And I think he's realised too
did.
late. So that was what we were saying earlier on. That is the danger of going out on those medium tyres. Other cars can come along that are just about quick enough on the soft tyres to knock you out. And it's happened to Rian Fori. He's going to start 12th on the grid. So that is, well, that's a big shocker, really. So the bottom 5 there, the people that are out, Michael in the Racing Point, he will qualify 11th. Rian Fori, as we were just saying, 12th. Lee Edwards is 13th. Then we've got Thomas Edwards in 14th. And then Pete Polini, 15th. But those bottom 2 did get disqualified. I'm not quite sure if they will stay there or if they will get pushed to the back for being disqualified. We'll have to wait and see at the start of the race there. But got to say, standout performance for me there is Bryce in the Toro Rosso up in 2nd on a 1:32.0. He could be one to watch in qualifying.
Yeah, but as always, Hubert did go 7/10 faster than him on the soft tyre. Hubert does start on 3-lap old tyres, so Bryce Faulkner does have the strategy advantage for the race. As we go to Q3 now, Hubert does seem to be the favourite for pole position, as he did go 7/10 faster than Bryce Faulkner in Q2. But of course, don't forget that Germ, he did well to go 3rd place in Q2 as well. Kenzie joining the top 10 shootout. This will be interesting from the man in the Williams.
It will indeed. So who's going to be the first car to venture out onto track? I can hear a couple of cars getting...
And it is Ricard and the McLaren of Malbert Rogers goes out first. Malbert Rogers is going to go out first in the pit exit, followed by Johnny Davis and Ricard.
I think Haas was
Everyone
sweating a bit there because they looked like they were both not going to make it through there at one point, but they're both in. So
Yeah, a very intense Q2 session. Now everyone's going to go out there for their first flying laps. If people have saved their tyres correctly, then they probably can go on 3 flying laps. If they do have the tyres saved.
yes, I very much doubt Hubert has, to be honest. 3 sets of soft tyres he's used so far in this qualifying, 2 in Q1 and 1 in Q2. So he might just get the one run at this. But depends what tyres he's gone on as well, of course, for this part of qualifying. Could he be starting on an old set of tyres immediately? So 3 cars in the pits. Jeremy in the Mercedes, Fraser McKenzie in the Williams, and Bryce in the Toro Rosso. Those 3 have decided to stay in for now. Let everyone else do some running. Of course, they do get an extra set of soft tyres if they make it through to Q3 as well. So Hubert might possibly have one more set of tyres to go. And now just Jeremy's left in the pits. So here is Malba in the McLaren. First car out. And the lap times are going to come thick and fast here because we had 7 cars almost follow each other out of the pits. So I hope you're ready for this. We're going to try and keep on top of it all.
Yeah, definitely.
The Haas is looking pretty strong as well. Don't forget he did, Ricard did Q2 on the medium tyre. So I don't think that was a true representation at all of his ultimate pace. I think he could be one to watch in this qualifying as well. He could take it to Hubert, and I can see him already very quickly catching that McLaren ahead of him. So yellow flag in sector 1. Not quite sure. I think someone's just come out of the pits, maybe trying to get out of the way.
Yeah, that is Johnny Davis. He has slowed down for the Renault of David Edgar. So as David Edgar does go through for his flying lap as well, makes past sector 1. As Super Shippy goes out for his flying lap as well, followed by interestingly, that Germ is going to go out for his out lap, as well as Bryce Faulkner is also going out for the out lap. Oh, there is a bit of a clash with the Williams McKenzie with that as well, to try and get correct position for the start of his lap.
So, Joe or Malbert here coming through the last couple of corners to set a lap time. Behind him, I think it's Johnny in the Haas. No, it's not. Johnny's actually slowing down the back straight, so it's the other Haas of Ricard. Malbert goes fastest, but look at that. Ricard immediately takes it away from him. 1:31.2. Good lap time there from Ricard. Hubert is the other one I'm going to be interested in as I'm looking at him now coming through the final sector. Last couple of corners as David Edgar goes third. A fraction
great lap
off.
from Ricard.
Fraction
Yeah,
off
great lap
of
from Ricard.
and Sabazio goes fourth in the Mercedes. A bit surprised he spent a little bit more from him. Looked good in the first couple past. Hubert goes second, just under a tenth behind Ricard. So very, very good lap by Ricard. And look at that, 1:59 there from Johnny. So here's Fraser McKenzie.
Yeah, just reporting on Pete Poloni's DQ'd from the session for going backwards. He said he tried to go on the outs from the 100-foot board, and he tried to move over to make room, but he did get DQ'd after that. So it was a dumb on his part apparently.
So here is Fraser McKenzie, and he goes sixth on a 34.5. Jeremy still on his out lap. Here comes Bryce coming across the line to complete his lap. He goes seventh. Quite a very slow lap there from him. And Andy's doing the same trick again. He hasn't set a lap time despite, and he is doing it again. No, he is. He's made the chicane this time. Just from his line there, I thought he was going to go straight on. But Andy here in the Alfa Romeo looks like he's going to complete a lap this time. So we got Bryce and Johnny not really setting representative lap times at the moment. Will they go again on this set, or will they just peel in and wait for a better opportunity. Oh, a lot of
It does
curb
look
there
like
from
Bryce
Andy.
Faulkner. Yeah, it does look like Bryce Faulkner's going to set lap time. Probably just slow laps to get the tyres heated up before going out on his actual Q3 lap time. So as you say, it's not representative of his pace.
And Andy's pulled out of his lap. He slowed right down there in the final little back straight before the last two corners. He's slowed right down. So he's going to go again and do another lap. I don't know how he's being able to... he does set a lap time, but he seems to be able to find lap time on tyres that are 3 or 4 laps old. We saw it in the last session. Ran very, very wide there in the first chicane as well. I think he's abandoned this lap as well by the looks of it. But he seems to go out with quite a lot of fuel on board. So it does make you wonder how fast he'd be on a brand new set and an almost empty tank. But Jeremy goes 4th and Bryce goes 3rd. So Bryce has gone 3rd on a 1:31.7. Jeremy's gone 4th on a 32.2. So a definite gap here between the top 3 and the rest of the field. And then behind that is it's very close, less than half a tenth separating Jeremy, Malvern and David Escher in 4th, 5th and 6th. And Sabazio not far behind that as well. Then another big gap to Fraser McKenzie in 8th place. Andy yet to set a lap time. What can he do this time? And he doesn't, he abandons his lap, so Andy pits. So, yes, I'm not quite sure what he's up to at the moment, but Andy into the pits. Jeremy, I think, is also on an in-lap. Yes, he is, so he pits. So we've got a few seconds of calm here. Bryce is also coming in. We've got David Edger heading back out. He is on his outlap. So is Hubert. Ricard, he's on his quick lap, I believe. Yes, he is. So let's see what he can do on his quick lap. He is currently fastest. Can he improve at all? So first sector looking good. Out onto the back straight. Down at nearly 210 miles an hour there in that Haas to the second chicane. That Haas is looking very, very good. Very composed. Quick direction change there. And then into this long, tricky double right hand. A lot of double apex, late apex corners here in this last sector of the racetrack. This is probably the trickiest one of the lot, down to about 75 miles an hour there for the apex of that. Let's see here what he can do. Ricard here had such a good race at times in Canada. Made a couple of silly errors, but he still finished well. Here he comes again across the line. Can he improve? He doesn't improve. He was only a fraction off, but less than a tenth off. Hubert now on his quick lap as well. Bryce has gone straight back out again. We saw him coming into the pit. He has gone straight back out again. So here is Hubert coming out onto the long second part of this straight. Still about 200 miles an hour and absolutely flat through that right-hander. Let's see if we can ride on board with him a little bit. Let's have a look. Yes, here we go. Up to about 160 miles an hour, then hard on the brakes, down to fourth gear, 75 miles an hour, flipped into third actually, bit of extra traction on the exit. Back up through the gears, up to 180 miles an hour for this long left-hander, down to 80 miles an hour by the exit, and the last slow, tricky final corner, about 50 miles an hour at the apex, and back on the power. And here comes Hubert across the line, and he goes fastest. He goes fastest. That is a great lap there from Hubert. First lap time we've seen in the 1 minute 30s. It's on a 1:30.9. Can Ricard improve? No, he's on a slow lap, so it looks like Hubert could be taking pole position. Don't forget Bryce there in third position. He is starting his flying lap now as well. Pretty much everyone else is either on a lap or on an out lap. So we're looking at Bryce here in third place. Let's have a look. Jeremy about to start a lap. This is Malbert in fifth at the moment, but less than 2/100ths of a second slower than Jeremy ahead of him at the moment in the Mercedes. What a qualifying this would be if he can get himself onto the second row of the grid here for Malbert. David Edger also did not improve his lap time. He remains in sixth position, but he is a 10th up. He is a 10th up. There's a yellow flag in the final sector. I think someone's just getting out of the way. Malbert ran very, very wide in that corner, but I think he might just get away with it. I know he's pitting. He's abandoned the lap. So here is David Edger. He is currently in sixth position, but again, about 3/100ths of a second, he'll move into fourth. It's that close between them. The session is up as we speak. Andy didn't go back out again, so Andy remains in 10th position. A very strange strategy that Andy seems to be posting here. But David Edger comes across the line. Can he improve on his...
Yes,
he does. He goes fourth. Great lap there from the Renault to go into fourth place there, David Edger. Fraser McKenzie is on a lap, so is Jeremy in the Mercedes, and so Ricard is pitting. So the only two left out on track is Jeremy and Fraser McKenzie. Jeremy is currently fifth. Can he get himself up there? He goes back into fourth, a fraction behind Bryce. So the last person to set a lap is Fraser McKenzie, but he's gone off. Fraser McKenzie's gone off. So there we have our top 10. Hubert with a fantastic lap there in the last part of qualifying. Takes pole position.
Fantastic from him.
Great lap.
Yeah,
first lap in the
fantastic
1:30s. Ricard second. Bryce third. Another great lap as well from him in the Toro Rosso. Jeremy fourth for Mercedes. David Edger fifth. Malbert sixth in the McLaren. Sabazio is seventh. That's Scott seventh in the Mercedes. Fraser McKenzie eighth. He will be pleased with that, Fraser, to come home in eighth. Johnny ninth for Haas. And in 10th place, Andy. Well,
yeah, just confirming what Kenzie said. Just confirming what Kenzie's lap was. He said he has confirmed that he is happy with that.
Well, indeed he should be. That was a very, very good lap from him to get it onto the fourth row of the grid. I think he should be absolutely delighted with that.
Yep, definitely happy with that. Yep, as Hubert does go 3/10 faster than Ricard. As Bryce Faulkner comes third, and Jeremy goes fourth, and David Edgar completes the top 5.
Yes, and just behind that, Malbert in the McLaren, Scott in the Mercedes, Fraser in the Williams, Johnny in the Haas, and Andy in the Alfa Romeo. I really don't know what Andy has been doing in this session. He's done sort of 4 laps in the second part, and then he's done a couple of laps in the third part, and then just abandoned the lap. So I'm not quite sure what's happened there for the Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, definitely.
And Scott saying that he was a quarter of a second up in the last sector, but he made a mistake in that final sector, so that's what cost him his lap time. So he could have got himself a little bit further up. So you join us here for the French Grand Prix here in France, a country that's twice the size of the UK, but it's got roughly the same population. Long history in motor racing, of course, France. The first ever Grand Prix was held here back in 1906. In Formula 1, France has produced 73 drivers. 12 of those have gone on to win a race in Formula 1, but we've only produced one world champion. That, of course, was the great Alain Prost. And no French driver has won a race since 1996, Olivier Panis at the Monaco Grand Prix. France did also feature in the first ever season in Formula 1 back in 1950. 7 different circuits have held the French Grand Prix over the years, but we had a 10-year gap between Manicourt in 2008 and before it returned to the calendar at Paul Ricard in 2018. And
sadly, someone's readied up. Oh, for God's sake, I was mentioning in chat to not ready up. Anyway, as quickly as I possibly can. Hubert, Ricard, Bryce Faulkner, Jeremy, David Edgar, Albert Rogers, Andy, Fraser McKenzie, Johnny Davis, and Andy complete the top 10. I cannot have enough time to complete the rest of the bottom 10 because someone's ready up and it's nearly 5 lights.
Lights out, away we go. Great start from Hubert. He's had a brilliant start in that Ferrari. Bryce as well is up into second place by the looks of it as they come down into turn 1. That's Jeremy up into second. I think Ricard was caught out there a little bit. But David Edger up into third.
There was a huge crash through the first and second corners. Oh my gosh, the Alfa Romeo of Pompiloni has just crashed with Kieran Knight. Not a great start, but it's sad to see him go like this. He is 18th place, followed by Bryce Faulkner. Bryce Faulkner goes from 3rd position all the way down to 20th place. Not a great start for him.
Such a shame. Hubert must be rubbing his hands with glee with this. Look at the lead he's already got out front. Jeremy up into second place. He likewise must be delighted with this. I think the other Mercedes of Scott has also got called out in there. He's dropped to 14. But the race order up front, Hubert leads from Jeremy. Ricard has somehow picked his way through the carnage and is in third. I'm not sure if he's got damage. David Edger will be delighted as well. He's up into 4th. And likewise Michael in the Racing Point. He's up to 5th. Lee is up to 6th for Red Bull. And of course we saw him qualify down in 14th position. Malba is 7th. Rian Fouray's climbed up as well. He's up to 8th. Fraser McKenzie's still in 9th. And but I have to say the mover of the race so far for me is Ben in the Ferrari from the back of the grid. He's up into 10th position.
Yep, as Ben is trying to overtake Kenzie. The
Racing Point run very wide. Malba is pitting, so Malba must have damage.
And also great start from Lee Edwards, goes up in 6th place. And also great start from Rian Foray, Ben Green, Kenzie keeping his position very, 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 very tightly. 9th position from 8th place in the grid. Great start from him.
Yeah, so talking of Lee Edwards there.
And Kenzie spun.
Sorry, who spun?
Kenzie spun.
Fraser spun.
Fraser McKenzie.
He's going to drop down. I wouldn't be too surprised they're talking to the 2 Red Bulls to see a bit of teamwork here. Lee Edwards is 6th. Rian Foray is 7th. We know Rian's had a lot more pace than Lee throughout qualifying. I think Rian is just going to go straight past his team. And yes, indeed he is. So Rian moves up to 6th. Lee drops down to 7th. Behind them, still can't get over this. Ben in the Ferrari up into 8th place. And Lee does try to hang on around the outside of the chicane. So maybe it wasn't quite as simple as that. But Ben in the Ferrari up into 8th place. Meanwhile, out front, look at this here. This is Jeremy and Ricard fighting very hard. Just a quarter of a second between them. Already they're 2 seconds behind Hubert, who is flying away. There's another yellow flag there in sector 3. I think that's Michael spun. Well, something's happened to Michael. He's dropped. Him and Lee were getting close together. I'm not sure if there's maybe damage there. Wow, well, what an opening to this race. Hubert leads by over 2 seconds at the end of the second lap. Jeremy is second, just about holding off Ricard. Then a gap to David Edger in 4th. And then we got another gap to Rian Foray, and Ben has got past Lee as well. Another yellow flag in sector 3. I think that might be Fraser McKenzie. I can see him dropping down the order. Yes, Fraser McKenzie's off.
Yes.
Fraser McKenzie's had another spin in the second to last corner. And Nick gets a penalty there, speeding in the pit lane. So maybe Fraser was caught out there by Nick peeling off into the pits. That could have been what happened there. And Ricard's passed. Ricard has passed Jeremy into second position.
Yeah, great move from him. Have a look at all the Ben Green and Rian Foray. They're fighting out for 5th position. He goes out from the main straight. DRS has been activated after 3 laps. Will Rian Foray be able to defend from Ben Green? Great start from him. He's up from 14 positions from last place in the grid, and he does go past him, blocking around Fore from going past him. Biggest winner so far in this race so far. Ben Green, 15 positions up, and unlucky from Bryce Faulkner. He goes down from 15th place after starting third on the grid.
Yes, and I think he has made a stop as well there, Bryce, as he's now onto the hard tyres, likewise Nick, and also the the Alfa Romeo of Pete Poloni. Kieran, interestingly, has also pitted, but he's gone onto another set of soft tyres, so he will definitely be stopping again. Possibly those hards could go to the end. Not quite sure. Oh, this is a great battle here. 7th position between Lee and Michael here. Lee will be delighted. He always has a lap lead in the first laps of races. He seems to pick his way through the trouble. He just seems to be able to get away with it. Yes, David Edger pits, so this now becomes a battle for 6th. And Lee positioning his car well down the pit straight. Is there anything Michael
and goes down the
get on a little bit of contact. A little bit of contact. Lee's pushed wide. I don't think he'll be too happy about that, but he's still hanging on to the position. So, Hubert now leads by over 3 seconds after just 3 laps. Can Ricard take flight now and try and hunt that gap down? It's over 3 seconds after just 3 laps. Hubert must be thinking all his Christmases have come at once here, because he's got an absolute brilliant start and now a 3-second lead. But he is on those soft tyres, and don't forget we saw him do about at least 3 laps on those soft tyres in qualifying. Ricard started on the medium tyre, and he's already closing that gap down as Michael does now get past Lee. No, Lee's fighting back. These are having a great fight. But Michael is now through.
Definitely.
Lee drops down to 7th.
Can I just say, Ben Green from 20th on the grid. Yeah, can I just say, Ben Green from 20th on the grid is on 4th place, and he's catching up to the Mercedes of Jeremy. He's got great pace round here. Sadly, he couldn't make qualifying due to a ban. Goes up 16 positions from 20th on the grid. Can I just also say, Neil from 19th on the place get great stuff from him as well. He gets into 9th.
Yes, and he's closing in there on the Haas of Johnny as well, who's just ahead of him in 8th position. John as well in the Williams up into 10th place. So also having some brilliant starts from people here as David Edger gets past Fraser McKenzie on his fresh rubber to move into 12th position. Wow, what a start to this race we've seen here. But Hubert still leads by 3 seconds. Ricard can't quite close the gap down as much as he would like to at the moment. There he is in 2nd place. Jeremy has got Ben hunting him down in 4th place, and Rian Foray is in there as well. He's also had a good start. Don't forget, he started back in 12th and he's up to 5th. So absolute carnage, but drivers, a lot of the drivers seem to have just picked their way through it very, very well.
Yeah, definitely, as Neil does get past Johnny Davis, but Johnny Davis comes back with DRS down to the chicane with overtake mode, goes past him, and will Neil fight for the position? Oh, and he locks up. Johnny Davis is locked up, and as easy pass from Neil.
So can I just give a shout out there to Lee as well there, still up there in 7th position, and a difficult qualifying, but he's doing a fine job there, still almost about a second and a half clear of Neil, and that's doing a fine job in that Red Bull and looking good, possibly for some points if he can keep the pace up. But what a battle we got now. Jeremy in 3rd, Ben in 4th, and Rian Foray just behind him in 5th, as Ben has got a great run out the final corner. He's gone to the inside. Has that Ferrari got enough straight line speed? Indeed it has. Can he slow it down in time? Oh, a little bit cheeky there. Cut back onto the racing line under braking, but I think he'll just about get away with that. A little bit wide there out of the chicane. But that's a great battle, and I've got to say, driver of the race so far for me, Ben, up from the back of the grid, already into 3rd place after just, well, not even 6 laps yet. Johnny Pitts in the Haas.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, there is yellow flags in sector 3. Who could that be?
Let's have a look. I think
it's a Toro Rosso. It's a Toro Rosso of Nick Ryan. He did go off the track into the sand area, which is very interesting. As the Alfa Romeo of Andy also goes wide as well. As the Toro Rosso, oh, there's contact. There's contact between Toro Rosso and the Alfa Romeo of Andy.
Some great racing all the way through the field here. Penalties as well for Nick and for Andy. So those two there we were just mentioning, I think, obviously where they're pushing each other so hard.
And Nick has spun. He's crashed into the wall through the first corner. The Alfa Romeo did not seem to give him enough space, and he has crashed into the wall. Definitely some front wing damage. Definitely some front wing damage in the front of that Toro Rosso. Really bad start.
10th place between Thomas Edwards in the McLaren and David Edger. Keep an eye on David Edger. He pitted a little bit earlier than everyone else. He's on a fresh set of tyres. If he can get past as a Hubert pits and Jeremy pit. Yeah, keep an eye on David Edger. He pitted a little bit earlier. So he does get past Thomas Edwards to move into what is now 10th position. He could find himself moving up the field quite a lot here, because if he can get a few quick laps in now, that will definitely see him moving up. Michael in the Racing Point up into 4th place now with these pit stops. So Ricard leads from the amazing Ben Green. He is in 2nd place now. 6 laps gone and he's climbed 18 positions from the back of the field into 2nd, and there's only a couple of those because of pit stops. Rian Fori as well, he started 12th, he's up to 3rd. Michael in 4th, started down in 10th.
Can I just say there is a great battle for 5th, 6th and 5th place as Hubert goes easily past Lee Edwards. And Hubert does seem to be climbing up the grid. Next for Hubert's checklist is Neil in the Racing Point.
Yeah, who's also had a good start as well. Don't forget, he started back in 19th position. He's up to 5th now. So some great drives going on up and down, and some good battles going on as well. We've got Scott and Johnny very close together in the battle for 13th position, and also Pete and Nick getting very close. So Nick getting close to another of the Alfa Romeos.
Yep.
Fraser McKenzie's dropped to the back. He has just made a stop. He's in the Williams. He's now dropped to last place, but closing up on Nick quite nicely. So here is Ricard. Got 3.5 second lead over Ben, and is slightly pulling away as well. Rian Fori is 3 seconds further back. Michael still doing a fine job there in 4th place. At both Racing Points doing a great job, 4th and 5th. Hubert in 6th. So there's only two cars out there on the soft tyres. That one of them is Kieran down in 16th position. But he's making good use of them because, of course, he came out the pits in 19th. And now he's up into 16th. And Jeremy's gone on to another set of softs. So he will definitely be stopping again there, Jeremy, in that Mercedes. But how much time can he make up now?
Yep, as Hubert closes up very close onto the main straight against Neil. It's going to be a very easy pass from him. And goes on to the racing line. Neil does not try to defend as much because he knows he is a very faster car, and makes it very easy for him.
So what do you reckon then? Do you reckon Hubert can get to the end on these medium tyres? It's a long way to go yet, but could he go to the end?
Yeah, it's definitely going to look like he's going about 2 stops, probably soft mediums for him, since he did go 3 laps in Q2, which was the set of tyres he started on. So I think it'll be soft mediums for Hubert Maria. As Nick Wine has just got a 10-second time penalty in corners and multiple warnings.
And Ben's just set fastest lap as well there in 2nd place, as he took half a second out of Ricard out in front. Of course, don't forget, Ben's tyres will be slightly fresher. Ricard had to do qualifying and Q2 on those, whereas Ben started at the back on a brand new set of medium tyres, so slightly fresher tyres. But you would say probably as they are now, they all got to stop one more time, you would think. So Ricard, Ben, Rian Fori and Michael looking pretty good there in the top 4. Hubert's got a lot of work to do if he has got to stop again, which I'm pretty sure he does. He's got a lot of work to do to get past the cars ahead of him, to even get close to Ricard again.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he's 20 seconds behind Ricard. That's a lot of time to make up in 18 laps.
Yeah, do you think that Ben Green could win the race today if he does keep on with this pace?
Oh, Nick gets
as Nick Wine
another
just
penalty. Another penalty there for Nick, so he's certainly accruing the penalties. There's at least the third penalty I've seen from him, and I think that's about 18 seconds he's having added to his time so far. I think Ben, he's certainly got the pace to at the moment. Certainly, I mean, looking at the sector times, it's the final sector. He seems to make up a lot of time. So
yeah, he's about 2 seconds away from Ricard right now. He does seem to be catching up very, very quickly.
Yes, that's half a second a lap at the moment. The last 2 laps, he's taken half a second each lap. So it's not out of the question of what a win that would be from the back of the grid. I mean, we were saying earlier about wanting to be promoted to the X1 League. Well, what better way to do that is to start at the back and end up winning the race.
Yeah.
Hubert sets fastest lap, but only a fraction quicker than what Ben managed to do on much older tyres. Of course, Ben's tyres from the beginning. Hubert's tyres are only 3 laps old.
Yep, as the battle for 7th and 8th place, and Jeremy goes through Lee Edwards very, very quickly.
But again, Lee, I think if Lee keeps his head, he's got 12 seconds behind him to John in the Williams. David Edge is just behind that. So Lee, I'm pretty sure, will also be 1 second. There's a yellow flag in sector 2. I think that might be. Oh, I think that was the. Yes, he was. It was the Force India there of Neil made a mistake. Lee's gone past him and Jeremy's gone past him. So Lee back up into 7th. Whenever I look at Lee, he's always in 7th place. He keeps getting overtaken, but he still keeps ending up in 7th place somehow. So he's keeping his head, and he's still there. Look at the gap now between the top 2, down to 1.2 seconds, and closing all the time. So Ben has...
At this rate, he will get DRS on the main straight. At this rate, Ben Green will get DRS on the main straight, and I wouldn't be surprised if he does overtake Ricard. He seems to have amazing pace so far in this race.
He certainly has. He's certainly got the bit between his teeth. He's been absolutely flying in this race. And it didn't quite get the DRS that time. Wasn't quite close enough at the detection point, but he will do here. They both made a bit of a mistake in the first chicane. So Ricard certainly starting to feel the pressure here from Ben. But Ben will be close enough this time down this long straight. He will have the DRS. I don't think he's going to be quite close enough this time unless he's got amazing straight line speed, but that Haas we saw in qualifying is pretty quick in a straight line. And another penalty for Nick. He's a long way back, and I think that's now 21 seconds worth of penalties at the back of the field. He's 41 seconds off the back of the field as well. So here comes Ben once again. No DRS on this straight, but he will use as another penalty. That's Thomas Edwards there with a penalty in the McLaren. He's in 12th. And look at how close this is. Oh, there's a mistake from Ricard. He's rally crossed that round the corner, somehow kept control and somehow kept the lead. I think he just caught the curb there on the inside, and he so nearly ended up spinning out there. How did he control that? That was brilliant car control there.
Yeah, really, Ben Green's really put on the pressure. I think Ben's pace has really shocked Ricard, as Ben Green does have DRS on the pit straight, and he goes in overtake mode, and he goes down the inside of the Haas, and
there's nothing he can do. As long as he can get it turned in, and he has. That's a great move there. He feinted right, feinted left, and then dived back down the inside, and has taken the lead. Who would have thought 12 laps into the race that Ben from the back of the grid after qualifying ban is up into the lead, and Nick Wynn has retired at the back. Round 4 he gets a penalty there. He's running in 3rd, some 7.5 seconds behind this lot.
Yeah, Ricard is still hanging on the back of Ben Green using DRS and the DRS assistance, and just following the back of him. Amazing pace from Ben Green so far, from last on the grid to 1st. If he does get the win, that will put him really far out the construction, especially with that quali ban. Imagine what he could do without getting that qualifying ban he got from the. He definitely deserves an X1 seat for the Xtreme Racing League.
Most definitely the way he's going there, and a mistake from Ricard as well. I think his tyres are starting to struggle a little bit, and now that's given Ben a bit of a leeway. I was just going to say that possibly the excellent straight line speed of the Haas as Ricard pits. Ricard pits, so that could be a good strategy there, possibly trying the undercut. It will all depend on what his pace is. Ryan Foray also in, and also where does Hubert feature in all this? It's a long, slow pit lane here. I think Hubert might just sneak past, yes. So, but trying the undercut here possibly, as Hubert moves into second place. It's a Ferrari 1-2 right now. But,
amazing for the constructor standings for the Ferrari team. 1-2, especially in Singapore as well, with Sebastian Vettel winning the Singapore Grand Prix with Charles Leclerc getting second place.
Yes, it was a great race for them. First time as well ever at Singapore that the constructors finished 1-2. So very, very good day for Ferrari there. There's usually so many incidents there that normally the top three teams are lucky to get both cars to the flag, but they all managed it this time.
Yep, as the cars that haven't pit yet is F1 Vettel, Neil, Lee Edwards, the Williams of Jeebus John, Thomas Edwards hasn't also pit as well, but there is a great scrap for the McLaren and the Williams in 12th and 11th place. Thomas Edwards right behind the back of John.
Yes, I can't race order. Ben is leading. Hubert is just about closing the gap down. Not by much.
And Ben Green's pit. Where will he come out of this? And questionably, what tyre is he going to go onto?
Yes,
he goes onto hard tyre, so he's going to go for the one stop. Great, interesting strategy for him, especially when Hubert seems to be the closest car to him, and
this is going to be close here, you know, between Ben and Ricard. Ben just coming out the pits. Here comes Ricard down the pit straight, and perfect timing really from Ben. He had to make that stop, or else Ricard would have had him. One more lap there, Ricard would have easily got back past him. Shows how much the undercut's worth here, even on a set of hard tyres. So now the question is, how quick can Hubert be, and will he have to stop again? Surely that was very wide there, but surely he will have to stop again. He's got a 4.5 second lead. A few cars pitting as well. Lee's in the pits, Jeremy's in the pits as well. So is Neil and John as well.
Interestingly, the last car that hasn't pit for a pit stop yet. As Ricard does get a 3 second time penalty for multiple warnings, probably from corner cuts and exceeding track limits.
So that's. I'd say he's holding on very well here to Ben, considering the pace that Ben had earlier on. Is he struggling to get those hard tyres up to temperature? Because Ricard, we saw how quickly he was pulling away earlier on, but Ricard hanging on quite well. As I say that, he pulls out quite a lot on him in one part of the track.
As Neil goes past Thomas Edwards. Thomas Edwards is the only car that hasn't stopped for a new set of tyres yet, which is very, very interesting. Everyone else has either gone for 1 stops or 2 stops so far today.
I mean, possibly could be trying to get onto a set of softs for the last stint, possibly. I mean, it's quite a last to make those mediums last long. If it started on the hards, maybe that would be possible, but that's a big old arse to try and get those tyres to last to a point where they can put the softs on and get them to last again, because the softs don't last long around here. The wear rate on those soft tyres really is, and Hubert cannot do enough. We're pretty sure he's going to stop again, and he cannot do enough. His lead is dropping down to 3.5 seconds now, as Thomas Edwards does pit from what was 10th place. So maybe he was listening to me and decided enough was enough. He drops back down to at least 14th place. I've got to say, a little bit surprised Bryce hasn't come through the field a little bit quicker. Lee gets a penalty as well, but I am a little bit surprised here that Bryce hasn't come back through the field a little bit quicker.
right
to-
behind the Mercedes.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
he's
Bryce is
kind
right behind
of
the
been there.
Mercedes and the Red Bull.
Yeah, he's kind of been there for the most of the race. I don't know if those two will be able to make, as Kieran gets a penalty. He's currently running in last place, but I don't know if those two can make those hard tyres last to the end of the race. Scott and Bryce, they may have to stop again because of course they pitted at the end of lap 1 after all the carnage that went on there. So Hubert leads now by just under 3 seconds from his teammate as Ben sets the fastest lap of the race of 35.4. We got
On the hard
Ricard in
tyre.
3rd, Rian is 4th for Red Bull. Had a quiet race really, but he's come through from 12th up to 4th. Michael's still doing a fine job in 5th place in the Racing Point. David Edger is 6th, Malbert is 7th, Jeremy is 8th in the Mercedes, 9th is Neil, and 10th is Johnny in the second Haas. Just out behind that, just outside the points, we've got Lee, then we've got Scott in the Mercedes, and Bryce is 13th. Good battle going on there for what could potentially be the final points paying position here. As Scott pits, as I was saying about him not being able to make those tyres last to the end, Scott does pit.
That does promote Bryce Faulkner, who's had a terrible race so far. Did
Such a shame, he
get
had such
involved
a
with a
brilliant
crash.
start, didn't he? He was 3rd on the grid, he was up to 2nd toward turn 1, and then I'm not quite sure what caused the accident, but or who, if there was any blame to be laid at anyone's door there, but he was up to 2nd from what I could see on the run down to turn 1, and then it just all fell apart from him, and he's struggled through the field since then.
Yeah, definitely.
So this is the battle now for 10th position. This is Johnny in the Haas. Just behind him, just over a second behind him, is Lee in the Red Bull. I'm still pretty hopeful here that Lee could get some points, because I'm pretty sure that David Edger and Malbert and Johnny all have to stop again. So he could still find himself moving up. He's currently in 11th place, Lee, just about ahead of Bryce and just behind Johnny. So good little fight going on there. Also Scott and Andy getting very close together in 14th and 15th position. So there's action up and down the field here. Huber's stopped the rot in some ways. He stopped the gap coming down quite as quick. It's still down to 2.5 seconds here between the two Ferraris. 10 laps to go after this one. Surely he's got to stop again. But if he does, he's going to come out, you would think, on another set of softs and absolutely fly. So expect the lap record to be gone there. Currently, the fastest lap is Ben, and the fastest lap on cars outside the top 10 is currently held by Scott. But of course, that could all change with more pit stops to come.
Yeah, definitely. So as we make to around halfway through the race, before the halfway through the race, we have Hubert 1st, Ben Green 2nd, Ricard 3rd, BF4 4th, and BCST Savage in rounding up the top 5.
Yeah, it's a very quiet race for Michael there in 5th place. I haven't really seen much of him, but he's done a great job. He's just under 10 seconds behind the Red Bull of Rian, and he is nearly 7 seconds clear of David Edger, who started ahead of him on the grid. And David, we know, or we're pretty sure, is going to have to stop again. Likewise, Malbert in 7th place. So good job from him so far. As they both racing points
right
actually
now
as well. Neil's done well from almost the back of the grid. He's in the top 10. So both racing points are having a fine race.
Yeah, great day.
So we're watching Hubert. The lead is now down to 1.7 seconds as Johnny pits in the Haas from 10th position. That will promote Lee into a points paying position. And well, Lee's having a great race. He's pulling away from Bryce behind him in the Toro Rosso, who started 3rd on the grid. And I still think there's a couple of cars still ahead of Lee yet to stop. So Lee is up to 10th position. Up into 12th is Pete in the Alfa Romeo, but I'm pretty sure he'll have to stop again. He's done 16 laps on these hard tyres, as has Bryce. So I think those two still have to stop again. Hubert doing a bit of a better job on this lap and just maintaining the gap, but Ben is still remorselessly bringing it down. Hubert is pulling away from Ricard in 3rd place. So Ricard just cannot live with the pace of these Ferraris. Rian Foray doing a good job again. He's in 4th place. And it's just settling down a little bit as Bryce getting closer to Lee. Let's see if we can find that battle. Here it is. It's Lee in 10th position. This is the closest battle on track right now. Lee is 10th. Bryce is 11th. The other battle is quite close to the battle for 15th between Thomas Edwards and Fraser McKenzie. Fraser also has gone backwards, started 8th and has dropped to 16th position. A couple of mistakes, I'm afraid, there from Fraser in the early stages of the race has really cost him. Those two having quite a good fight though, but you've got to say Lee Edwards having one of probably the best race we've seen from him in any of the leagues he's racing so far. He is up into 10th place, hanging on to the last point. Jeremy gets a penalty. He is running 8th. A yellow flag in sector 3. Let's see if I can see what that is. It might be just someone letting one of the leaders through. Back to this battle. Oh, Lee being put under a lot of pressure here by Bryce. And Lee just about able to hang on, but I think he's lost a little bit of momentum here. As the two Ferraris now getting very close together. Surely they won't let the two Ferraris fight each other. And Bryce is going through over Lee. So yes, Lee made a mistake in turn 3 and he's paid for it all the way down to the chicane. And still a little bit wide in the chicane as well there. So Lee's done 5 laps so far on these hard tyres. Can he hold on to Bryce? If he can hold on to Bryce, he might just pull him back towards the rest of the field a little bit more here. So here is the battle for the lead. Hubert leads. You've got 7 laps to go after this one. They just started lap 20 out of 27. Hubert from Ben. Will Hubert have to stop again? He's gone quite a bit further than I was expecting. I mean, the furthest we've seen so far on those medium tyres is Malbert in 7th place. He's done 18 laps on those medium tyres. So I'm just trying to remember.
He's really stretching out those tyres, isn't he?
He is, yes. I mean, Hubert's done 13 laps so far. So he pitted on lap 7. So I mean, 17 laps. It would only be a few laps away from the flag. Can he hold on for that long, or will he decide to bail out? And what's going to happen here with these two Ferraris? Are they going to let them fight? Are they going to have a bit of team orders here? Ben's had such a stunning race from the back of the grid to be up to 2nd.
He doesn't like to go for the window because Hubert does look like he does have to pit for some tyres because he is struggling on those medium compound tyres. If he does pit, then he will end up in the 5th place or 4th place during the pit stops. So
I thought that Ben was going to quite slow that down in time, but he just about did. He thought about a move. Hubert sort of jinked to the left a little bit, blocked him off. But this is what we want to see here. The two Ferraris fighting hard. Hubert and Ben. Ben on much fresher tyres, but the harder compound. Hubert on worn medium tyres. David Edger does pit from 6th position. So I'm not quite sure where he'll come out. He'll probably come out around between Lee and Pete Polini, I would have thought, in the battle for 11th place. So look at that. Ben's gone around the outside and Ben takes the lead. He got the slipstream. He got the DRS. Hubert tucking back into the slipstream. Can he have a go down into this flat out right-hander? And he does.
And he does.
He does. That was brave there. And well done to Ben for seeing him coming. It would have been so easy to turn in there, not expecting his teammate to be right alongside him, but he has made it stick. Hubert retakes the lead. Well, this is saying to me that could Hubert be trying to go to the end on these tyres? The fact he's fighting his teammates so hard, and he has a big slide, a little bit of contact between the two Ferraris. And Ben retakes the lead. How late is Hubert going to break? And, well, he thought better of it. He may get the DRS down into the down the pit straight, and Ben's been slightly put out of line due to Hubert there around his outside. He has got the DRS. Does he have the straight line speed? Hubert in a massive slide there out of one of those hairpins.
Did he go round the outside and down the inside?
He's going down the inside. This is great between the two Ferraris, but Ben holds on. Hubert backed out of that one. I think that would have been an almighty accident there, as Jeremy gets another penalty. He is there in 6th position, and David Edger came out in 10th, so just behind.
Yeah, Hubert did just get a time penalty. He just got a 3-second time penalty, so it looks like Ben Green will look like to win the race today, as Lee Edwards does also get a 3-second time penalty. He's running in 11th place right now.
Yes, and Malbert there pits. He's done 19 laps on these tyres. That possibly says to me Hubert could maybe stretch them out one more lap. Who knows? Because he's done 15 so far, and there's only 5 to go after this one. He could stretch them out. Bryce also pits. Bryce also pits, so Lee moves back into the points, up into 9th position, but I think he could be under pressure very, very quickly, because those cars coming out behind him are on a brand new set of soft tyres. Bryce drops down to 13th. So Lee up to 9th. Malbert has come out in 10th place on a brand new set of soft tyres. We expect that 4-second gap between them to disappear very, very quickly. Hubert still, I have to say, Hubert doing a good job hanging on here to his teammate with much older tyres. Just about got the DRS as well down the back straights, down the pit straight, sorry. So Hubert doing a fine job. 4.5 seconds behind him, just starting to close the gap down a little bit here. Is Ricard. He was out in about 6 seconds. He's taken about a second and a half out of them as the Williams almost. Williams does block Hubert. Fraser McKenzie there. I don't think quite. Wasn't Fraser? Sorry, that's John.
What was John doing? John made it very, very difficult for the Ferrari of Hubert to go through. As
he realised there that there was 2 Ferraris coming along. First race, of course, for John. It's quite easy to get a little bit flustered when the leaders come through. Don't think he quite realised that there was actually a second. Oh, and John very nearly smacked into the back of the Ferrari anyway. Had to take avoiding action there. Well, that would have caused a few arguments toward the end of the race or after the race there.
Yeah.
As John very, very nearly took out that.
Ricard is actually catching up to Hubert though. That's the thing.
He is. Could they be using? Could there be a bit of team games going on again here? Could they use Hubert to slow that pass down? Because the gap between Ben and Ricard is staying at about 5.5 seconds, but he is closing the gap down on Hubert on those much, much older tyres. And I think Hubert is going to try and go to the end on these mediums, because he's still not pitting.
Yeah, and now Rogers is also fighting Lee Edwards as well. He's on the main straight, as a DRS will be activated for him. Oh, as Lee Edwards does cut the corner slightly.
Takes that Polystyrene board there. Really smacked into that part, didn't he?
Yeah, easy pass for her. Of course, Mal Rogers is on the very, very new soft compound tyre, as Lee Edwards is on 9-lap-old hards. Very, very easy for Michael to go past him.
Did not expect to see that one. Michael picks from 5th, so he is going to drop behind Jeremy. At least Jeremy, I think he's going to drop behind. So that's a bit of a surprise though, because onto a brand new set of softs. I suppose it's a no-brainer. Could maybe get an extra point for the fastest lap, but he should.
Also, yeah, remember that the soft tyre is very, very fast against the 10-lap South hards, so he could easily catch up to Jeremy if he wants to.
So race order here, the last few laps of the race. Another penalty for Thomas Edwards, this time a 10-second penalty for exceeding track limits. So we have Ben, after a absolute stunning drive from the back, he leads by nearly 3 seconds now from his teammate Hubert. Ricard is 3rd, closing down on Hubert in the Haas. Rian Foro, we've hardly seen him all race, he's 4th. Jeremy's 5th in the Mercedes, with Michael right behind him on a brand new set of soft tyres. Neil in the other Force India is 7th. David Edger is 8th, Malwood is 9th, and Lee's hanging on to that final point in 10th place. He's actually slightly pulling away from Pete Polini, who's on 22 lap old hard tyres. And of course, this being a 50% race, that acts out more like 44 lap old tyres. So Pete Polini's doing very, very well there to keep that car pointing in the right direction, as Michael does take 5th.
Yeah, definitely. This will be interesting to see what is going to happen in these last final laps, as Ricard is slightly catching up against Hubert. Also, remember that Hubert does have time penalties, so if Ricard doesn't have time penalties, he can just go up 7 attempts, and then he will be, and Ricard will be up to back up to second place.
Ricard's had a penalty as well.
Oh, of course.
So he does need. I think this will have to be an overtake on track. He's struggling to close the gap down much beyond what it is at the moment. But I'm waiting to see if Michael can set fastest lap. He's in 5th, but we'll give him an extra point. And of course, we'll get 2 points for the fastest lap outside the top 10, which at the moment, I'm trying to see who holds that fastest lap outside the top 10. In fact, the fastest lap of all is actually Bryce right now in 13th place at 33.9. So he will get those 2 points at the moment, even though he's down in 13th, as Jeremy gets another penalty in 6th position. So and Rian Foray pits, so he could be going for the fastest lap on the final lap as well here.
So yeah, on the second to last lap, yep, as the Racing Point in 5th, does look like he has overtaken Jeremy on 11 lap hards.
And I think one more little battle just to watch out for here is Lee in 10th. He's now being caught quite quickly by Pete Polini in the Alfa Romeo, who in turn is being caught by Scott, so in the Mercedes. So those three could be battling over the final point scoring position here, as Andy overtakes Kieran to move into 17th position. But those three there, Lee, Pete and Scott, could be battling over the final point scoring position, less than 3 seconds covering the three of them. That's one to look out for. And Ricard now less than 3 seconds behind Hubert. I think Hubert is doing just enough here to hang on to second and make this a Ferrari 1-2. And I mean, if you'd have said to Ben at the start of the race, you're going to win this race, he would probably laughed at you. Another penalty by Fraser, down in 19th and last position. Not been a good race at all for Fraser, I hate to say it, but terrible race from him really. Started in 8th on the grid, and a couple of early spins. He's made quite a few mistakes, as Ricard gets another penalty in 3rd place. So that should take the pressure off Hubert now completely. But what a race this man has had here. Ben Green in the lead, started from the back after a ban in qualifying, and he just, well, by lap 6 he was up into 4th place, and he's just had phenomenal pace. Even when he had extremely worn tyres at one point, he was still pumping in some good lap times, and brave on his teammate. And he's already celebrating, weaving down the back straight. He knows what he's done here as a penalty for Michael, but he is, well, he will be absolutely delighted with this. What a drive. Definitely my driver of the day. I don't know about you, Jarbaloo.
Yeah, definitely driver of the day for Ben Green. I mean, from 20th on the grid to be winning the French Grand Prix, great debut for the X1 reserve driver, as Thomas Edwards does retire from the session on the final lap on the race. Don't know what's happened to him.
I'm not quite sure there, but here he comes, and Ben Green, well, he was weaving down the back straight as well. Ben Green wins the French Grand Prix. What a drive from him. Hubert did well there to keep those tyres in. He comes home in 2nd, and Ricard comes home 3rd. Rian Foray, has put on a brand new set of those soft tyres. Can he nick the fastest lap right at the end, which is currently still held by Bryce on a 33.9. Can he nick that right at the end? He's having a great final lap as John, Kieran and Andy have all finished the race as well. It's so close there between Lee. He's all sort of bouncing around a little bit, but Brian Foray does take fastest lap, a 33.4 right at the end. Here is Michael. We haven't seen him all afternoon at all here, Michael, but he comes home 5th in the Racing Point. Jeremy comes home 6th. Neil as well, another one, started down in 19th position. He comes home just about ahead of David Edger. He comes home 7th, which becomes 6th after the penalties for Jeremy have been applied. Jeremy actually drops back to 9th with his penalties because Malbert comes home in 8th. And here is Lee. Also had a stunning race and he's just ahead of Scott. Oh, there's contact on the final corner. Lee's been spun out. I think Lee might have run out of fuel. And he got hit from behind by Scott. And oh, what a shame for Lee. A stunning drive from him. And he's going to come home in 14th in the end. Oh, such a shame for him. It looked like he got the point. And I think he ran out of fuel. And ended up being hit by Scott. Can't really blame Scott for that. If he didn't know that Lee had no fuel left, then not a lot you can do in those situations. But Lee comes home 14th. Scott takes the final point in the end for 10th in the Mercedes. Not a great day for Mercedes, has to be said.
So, for sending out invites for the interviews.
Yes,
yeah, great,
try and get the
great
top
win
3.
Great win for Ben Green for 20th and go back up to 1st. Of course, reserve drive for X1 maybe deserves a full-time drive in the X1 league. And we shall see if he does hopefully get a full-time drive. Great race for Hubert and also Ricard. Yeah, and Ben Green did get no time penalties during the race. Great finish from him.
Yeah, so many time penalties being handed out there in the end. But there we see the final result. Ben wins from Hubert. Ricard 3rd. Rianne Forey 4th. Good drive from Michael in 5th in the Racing Point. Neil 6th from 19th on the grid. 7th for David Edger. Malba 8th. Jeremy with his penalties. He came across the line 6th, but he ended up being demoted to 9th. And Bryce got the final point once all the penalties have been applied. Bryce finished 10th for Toro Rosso, just ahead of Pete. Then Scott 12th, Johnny 13th. I feel so sorry for Lee. What a drive all afternoon. And then just have it robbed from him right at the end. He finishes 14th, just ahead of John in the Williams. The two Williams didn't have a good race either. I'm just going to see if Ben has got a microphone and can talk to us here. And we're trying to wait to see if the other two can also from the podium.
Yeah, I just invited everyone to the lobby. Great race from everyone, especially with that first lap incident. I just need to see if Hubert. I just need to see if Hubert joins the party.
Okay, so Ben doesn't have a microphone, unfortunately, so he won't be able to talk to us. But Ricard, you come home 3rd in the end. Are you pleased with that result?
Yeah, very. I were a bit hesitant about the mediums or the hards for the second stint, and I wouldn't have managed on the mediums. So, yeah, I'm happy with third. There were no chance I could keep on to second or first with the pace of Ben.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to ask you that. I mean, Ben had some stunning pace through the race. I mean, were you surprised when you looked behind you and suddenly Ben was there, especially with him starting right at the back?
Yeah, for the first few laps when he put the fastest lap, I didn't believe he would be able to catch me, but then I lost the pace on the tires and he just seemed to be kept going. So, yeah.
But still another good podium there for you, definitely.
Yep, thank you.
Will Hubert actually join us in the party for the interview for the second place? I don't think Hubert also has a mic as well. So basically, both Ferrari drivers are mute for the whole entire season. That is, if Hubert and F1 Vettel get promoted up with the transfer window in Hungary. There is a transfer window in Hungary, and if anyone asks Cesar for a transfer, then he could be promoted up to X1 if he wants to. But of course, whoever wins on the top three in X2 will be promoted up to X1, and for X1 he'll for X1 bottom three will be demoted down to X2. So it's either winning the championship or being transferred up into X1. Don't think Hubert will be joining us for interviews, sadly. But of course, great finish from Ben Green. Great finish from him. 20th on the grid, up to first for him, for the man.
Yes, great race. Definitely very, very enjoyable to watch.